Hello, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be an update for my Pan Those Palettes series. I'm basically doing a seasonal Pan That palette and a Pan That face palette for the year of 2025. I'll leave the series linked in the description box and at the end of the video, so if you haven't seen the introduction and you want to know exactly how I'm structuring things, and if you haven't seen my last update, you can catch yourself up. But basically, I wanted to, I knew I wanted to pan at least one palette this year, but I couldn't decide on which one. So I picked four, and all of these either I just am not super in love with and I'd be okay with letting go at the end of the year, or they're getting older and I really love them, so I want to use them before they expire on me. And then my face palette, which is yet again in different packaging and has different stuff inside of it for the second time now. This is just a Franken palette, so it's all stuff that I either depotted or you know, Franken together. I think this time I'll start by updating my face palette, and yeah, again, this looks different. My introduction, I had it in a different Z palette, and then my first update I had it in also a different one, and like I had rearranged things. Now it's in a third Z palette and I added something. So this I'm not panning. This is just something I added for like travel purposes, because this is basically kind of what I would bring if I was going out of town anywhere, and I wanted like a face powder in it just so I could have a complete face in this palette and not have to reach into anything else. So I bought the Fenty like blotting powder just as like a finishing powder for my face. I had a discount. I've always wanted to try this because I've heard lots of good things about it, and one of my friends also swears by this. So I had a discount code, and it was also like I think 5 or 10 times points, so I was just like, this is the perfect opportunity to get this. And I had been looking for what is it called, a single like depotted pan of a face powder anyway, so that's why that's there. But it's not part of what I mean, technically you'll be seeing the progress throughout the year, but this isn't one of the items that I'm targeting. The other 6 items are though. So this is the highlighter that I depotted and repressed from an e.l.f. highlighting duo. It's a yellow. I'm not going to swatch anything in this video just because it's going to get messy, and you can watch my intro and my last update if you want to see those swatches. But this is a yellow highlighter, and I actually did use it a few times. If you can see, like, sorry, this is very, very bright. If you can see, there's like a big dent in there. This morning as I was doing my makeup, I accidentally like smushed the cap or the lid into the highlighter. Luckily it's still intact, but there is a bit of a dent in there. I wasn't expecting to hit pan on it anyway, so I don't really see it as cheating. I did use this though a few times as a face highlight. The first month I think I only used it once as a face highlight, and then every other time I used it as an inner corner highlight, which I actually really, really, really love as an inner corner highlight. But I also have this in an eyeshadow pan, so by the end of the year I'm probably gonna declutter this pan and just keep the eyeshadow one. I wasn't really expecting to use it too much as an actual face highlight, but I did a few times when I was doing very warm like yellow and green looks. So yeah, I really enjoyed using this highlighter. It is so pretty. I love the finish. It doesn't have any glitter or sparkle in it, which I personally love. It is more intense than my Essence highlighters, which is my favorite highlighter formula and what I'm wearing today. But I do really like the formula of this. It's just because it's yellow, and especially now that we're in winter, I almost have no opportunities to wear it. But I did use it a few times, so I was very happy with that. Moving on to my 3 blushes. I actually used all 3 of these this past month. More than once too. It's not like I just used each one once just to get a use in. I like naturally just use all 3 of these at least a few times each, but definitely the one that I used most and was kind of focusing on was this one right here, which is the one that I Franken together. And the reason I wanted to use this one so much is because I mentioned last time that so basically this is a Franken of a Bobbi Brown bronzer, but it was a very light, very pink tone bronzer, which I don't know why they called it bronzer. But I Franken that with a Too Faced blush that was like super, super, super pink. So I just Franken those two together, and I was using alcohol to repress it. And a bunch of the pink was coming out from the blush, so I just kind of like sopped it all up. And I noticed like the blush that came out, I mean, as you could see in the intro, it was very pink. So I thought that was just the color of the blush, but as I've used it and worn away the top layer, it's turned into more of like, not a nude because it's still pink, but more nude than it was, and just like a nude mauve blush instead of a pink. So I'm thinking that there was just like an unintentional overspray of the pink, because now that I've used it even more, like last update, there was just like a little bit of the nude blush peeking through the pink top layer, and now it's like you can only see the pink on the edges. I think you can see it on camera, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just the top layer of the blush. And now I have like a mauve nude blush, which I still really like it, and it's still my go-to blush. But yeah, that was just something interesting, so that's kind of why I was focusing on that one. I also used this one when I just wanted like a barely there subtle blush. This is a repressed blush from, it's called literally just the blush from Essence. It's the, I think this is like the most popular shade, Befitting. And then this is a depotted, this one was repressed. This one is just depotted from a L'Oreal compact that kept breaking. I think I used this whenever I was wearing anything warm tone. This is neutral, but because these are more cool, I would just use this with like any warm tone look, and it, I don't know, it went pretty well. So that's kind of how I used all three of these blushes throughout the month. I really enjoy them. They're not like super different. It's not like I have an orange blush or a red blush or a super purple one, but I'm still really happy with my selection. Then I have my contour powder and my bronzer powder. This is a Franken of an Essence contour duo. I just mixed the two shades together, and now it's like a pretty perfect shade for me. I use this almost every day. I'm not using it now because I'm using some bronzer contour like cream, they're foundations from my, I think it's my old New Gifted Blue project. So I haven't used either of these on any days that I'm not at work, but any days that I work, just because I'm trying to do my makeup as fast as possible, I use like this entire face palette pretty much. So I've been really enjoying the contour powder. It's because it's like super firmly pressed. I don't know how I did that. I feel like I don't really have to be too careful with this, so I really like this pan, and it's very sturdy in there. This one is not sturdy at all. If you can see like the debris and the residue all over the pan, this thing keeps crumbling. This is a dry press. This is the only dry press that I've ever done and kept as a dry repress, but I think I'm gonna have to repress it with alcohol because it's just like, it's not super stable in there. It keeps crumbling, and it's at the point where, because I kind of repressed this in 2 layers, which you should not do if you're ever dry pressing, but the top layer is slowly crumbling away. So I think I'm just gonna bite the bullet and repress it with alcohol. I'm a bit concerned because I feel like whenever I repress a foundation with alcohol, which is like the only way that I do it anymore because it crumbles so easily, but whenever I repress a foundation with alcohol, it starts cracking. None of these have done it, and I repressed all 3 of these with alcohol, but I'm just so worried because I really love this bronzer. This is also a Franken from a NARS Laguna mini that I had, and then I think something else, but I can't remember what it was. But I just really don't want to ruin it because I love this bronzer, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. And I've talked for way too long about that face palette, but I'm gonna move on to my eyeshadow palettes. And these are the 4 that I have. First, for the winter season, which is also what I'm wearing on my eyes now, my focus palette is the e.l.f. Rose Gold Nude palette. Here's what the palette looks like. I don't know if you'll be able to tell too much, but I do have some dips in here. I've actually been getting quite a bit of use on this palette, especially on this shade right here. There's a dip at like the top, for you the bottom, but the top of the shade, that's where I've been focusing my brush anytime I use any of the shades, because I realized I had just been using, like, putting my brush all over the entire pan, and I was never going to see any progress that way. So anytime I use a shade, I've been focusing it more on this side, and now I have a really good dip in this shade. This is what I was pairing with my Project Level Up Light round 2 palette, and you can watch that update. It was my last video. I'll have it in the not here, in the description box and at the end of the video. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of use on this throughout, I mean, really throughout the entire year so far. It's only been 2 months. But I've only done a few looks exclusively with this palette, but almost every day I find some way to incorporate this palette into the looks that I do, including now. I'm also wearing this with, it's gonna be a bit of a spoiler, so click off if you're not up to date with my videos, but I'm wearing this in combination with my Project Level Up Light Level 3 palette. And what I'm wearing is this one, just, it's super bright, but I just use it to set my eyeshadow primer. Then I use this one Built Up because it almost doesn't show up at all, but I build it up a lot as my transition and like across my lower lash line. And then this is my outer corner shade, and then I put one of the shades from my level 3 palette, and then a Super Shock from my office project pan. You know what, I think I'll add a little inner corner here just to make things, just to like make the inner corner pop a little bit. There, it's not too much, but it's a nice little accent. So yeah, I've been using this shade as an inner corner as well. Anytime I have a cool tone look and I want an inner corner, this is what I use every single time. So I'm very happy with the use that I've gotten on this palette in the past month. I still don't know if I'll end up hitting any pans in this palette, but it's better than nothing because I didn't really, this was my level 5 palette for Project Level Up last year, and I wasn't anywhere close to hitting any pans because this is pretty tightly packed for a drugstore palette. So I'm glad that I'm making some very decent progress on this. The rest of my palettes, I honestly don't think I've used at all in the past month, or I can't even remember using them if I did. So that would be my Natasha Denona Mini Star palette as my spring palette. Then I have the ABH Norvina palette as my summer palette. And then I have the Pat McGrath Labs I Ecstasy Sublime palette as my fall palette. I always forget what this is called. One thing I want to mention though is this palette started crumbling. I didn't drop this or anything, so it must have been just like from it being in the drawer in my acrylic organizer for my makeup, I guess. But these 2 shades shattered and I had to like press them back down. I don't know why they did that, but every single time I like close the packaging, because it snaps closed, it shatters a little bit more. So that's really annoying. I already don't like this palette. I feel like because I've been doing this look, this is actually the second time I've done this exact look, except for the eyeshadowing. I actually wore this exact eyeshadow look to work, which is kind of crazy because I don't know what, in my mind I wasn't thinking, I thought this was gonna be like a super subtle look, and then it turned out like this. Anyway, this is the second time I've worn this look, and now that I've done it twice, I feel like I could pair this shade, I don't mean to flip you off, this shade with this palette kind of in the exact same way that I'm using my Project Level Up palette for this. And I think I actually did that last year during last year's Project Level Up, but I feel like I could get use out of these 2 palettes together once I finish my uses on this year's current Project Level Up Light palette. I know I'm mentioning a lot of different projects in this video. Sorry if it's getting a little bit confusing, but that will be the update for this month for my Panless palettes. March will be the final month that I'm really focusing on this palette, so I want to get as much use as I possibly can Also, it's already getting sunnier and sunnier out where I live every single day, so I don't want to be wearing these super cool toned, deep, wintry shades when it's like 70 degrees out. That being said, this is where the video ends. Thank you so much for watching. Again, you can see the other videos in this series or any other videos in my playlists. I'll have this series playlist linked in the description box and at the end of the video. But I'll just see you in my next video, which should be my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 update. Maybe, hopefully coming tomorrow. I don't know, but I'll see you there. And until then, I hope you have a great day.